Welcome to the Investor Shed Podcast with Nick Beveridge, the ultimate source for all things investing and beyond. For free tools, tips, and tricks, go to North Idaho REI.com. Today's episode features Joe Turner. Joe is an incredibly successful real estate business owner, investor, mother, and coach. She talks of VA loans, entrepreneurship, creative investing, and a unique rental dilemma.
All right, so today we've got Joe Turner. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You are a successful, independent woman.
I like that. Keep
and we
going.
can leave it at that. No, I'm just kidding. So you are on my team. You are co-owner of the team. You helped me grow it from scratch. And what do we do now?
I don't know. I could not be more grateful for the opportunity. I remember meeting you 3.5 years ago at your Coeur d'Alene REI investment event.
Before it was at North Idaho REI.
Before it was North Idaho REI, and you were wearing a lime green shirt, and I hated it.
It was pretty bad.
It was a horrible shirt, but I said, you know what? I'm going to partner with this guy. We're going to grow a great team.
You did not say that. You were like, I'm joining John L. Scott Realty. Screw off, would you? But I bought you lunch and you changed your mind.
I did. I was really lucky to have this opportunity. And I could never have imagined that we would be where we are now. And it's super fun and I love it.
It's awesome. It's a great job.
Yeah.
So, real estate investments, you were an investor before you ever started.
I was.
Up here in North Idaho, Wisconsin, right?
Yes. So my history, I was never really into real estate growing up at all. And then when I got married, when I was 24, we bought our first house for $99,000 in North Carolina. My then husband was military. And then I just became obsessed with real estate and watching HGTV and painting every room in the house and then realizing that was a bad mistake. And then we moved, but kept that first house as a rental. And that kind of got me started. And then as we moved in the military every couple years, that was kind of our thing. We'd try to find something we could put a little sweat equity, either a little or a lot of sweat equity into, live in it, fix it up, and then sell it or keep it as a rental every time we moved.
And you guys were getting VA loans at the time, right?
Yes. Yep.
So tell me about a VA loan, for those who don't know.
For those who don't know, if you have served in the military at all, or I think maybe minimum of 24 months, but most people qualify. A VA loan is a great program where they usually have the lowest interest rates, and you don't have to put any money down. It's 0% down, and if you have even 10% disability, then you don't have to pay this funding fee, which usually gets wrapped into the closing costs anyway. So it's just an incredible opportunity. Most people think they got to save up 10-20% to buy a house.
Right.
And you definitely don't if you're military. And I served as well. So both my ex-husband and I used our VA loans. You can only have them on one property at a time, though. There are a few exceptions to that, but I won't get into that.
Well, we can get into some quick exceptions, just for those that are savvy enough to catch on.
All right.
But so right now, currently, you can VA loan. You can use up to $417,000.
I think it's
benefits?
up around $500,000 now. I can't remember what they just
keeps
raised
going
the
up.
limit. Yeah. Yep.
So that means if you have another VA loan that has a balance of like $200,000, and you move out of it, you rent it out, you can get another VA loan because you still have more benefits too. You can use up to like close to $500,000 or so.
Correct.
Last I saw, I think it was $417, but still.
Yep.
You can use up to its full benefit. You don't have to use just one.
Correct. But there may be some more fine print there as far as like the house might have to be so many miles away from the other house.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely check with your local lender.
It's worth looking into.
Details. Yes, absolutely.
So, moving around the country, military?
Yes, moving around the country.
Keeping houses or flipping them?
Flipping them. Mostly selling. We didn't really hang on to a lot of them until we bought a house in Wisconsin. That's where I grew up and am from. That one we chose to keep because we thought it's in a great neighborhood and we we weren't sure when my ex-husband was done with his military career if we were going to move back to it. So that was the first one I think we kept, and I still own today.
Yep.
And then once he retired from Hawaii, we moved to the Coeur d'Alene area about 4 years ago. That's when we got really serious about buying rentals. And we got up to 5. We got divorced. I got to keep 3, and now I bought 2 more since then. So I'm back up to 5.
Back at 5.
So yeah.
And these are all high quality single family homes.
Exactly.
You don't have multifamily. You have easy tenants for the most part. Some are kind of stupid, from what I heard. But you don't typically have many issues with these houses, right?
Yeah, I'm of the mindset. I understand there's a million ways to do it. I like my slow and steady process of buying new construction or very nice homes that I live in for a year, or maybe I don't live in, but that I would happily live in. Mm-hmm. And I just want to get up to maybe 10 single family homes, and I'm good,
Yeah.
Then I'm set. That's my retirement plan. One of them is a vacation rental in Sagal.
Yeah.
And
nice
I
house.
love that one. But with every house, I think it's important to have multiple possible strategies with it. Worst case scenario, if I had to sell one or use it as an Airbnb or use it as a long-term rental, would it make sense, or at least I would stay afloat? I wouldn't go into foreclosure. So I always try to mitigate risk that way, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what motivates you to stay on the entrepreneur track where you don't have a steady paycheck being a realtor, and you have risky rental houses. I slapped the mic. Yep. A lot of people in your position would be nervous, right? What gets you through all that? What motivates you?
That's a good question.
To not have that steady paycheck, because just before I met you, you had a very secure job that you went to college for, and you decided to give that up and jump into real estate.
Yeah, I was a speech therapist, but I wasn't very passionate about it, and I don't know why I'm passionate about real estate. It just makes sense to me. Reading different books and studying things from Robert Kiyosaki to, I don't know, lots of different entrepreneurs, and how really the riskiest thing you can do is just to either save money or have that safe job. And I don't know, I think I've been influenced by so many things. Even Jim Carrey had a really good speech where he talked about his dad that worked his whole life in a job he hated and then was fired right before he could have got his pension. So you can spend your whole life doing something that you don't love, or you could just take a chance and do what you love. And I don't know, you might as well do that because it's a lot more fun. And what keeps me motivated now is surrounding myself with amazing entrepreneurs and people that are doing the same thing and having so much fun. I totally buy into, there's no end point where then you retire and then you're happy. If you can have fun and laugh every day, I already won. And so I just want to keep doing it because it's so fun. And the money's only good for the good it can do, and the more successful I am, the more people I'll be able to help. And
yeah,
that's kind of what I think.
So you mentioned, paraphrasing now at this point, but it's that safe, secure job and saving money. You're not going down that route, but I'd like to kind of turn that on its head for those that don't know what you're talking about. So when you have a job, it's not necessarily safe and secure because you only have one client, and that client is your boss, and you can be fired at any time, and then you have zero income. And you have to keep that one person happy, and you have to show up every day, or it's all over, all the income. And when you save money, you're investing in an asset that's going down in value every year. The U.S. dollar is doing nothing but going down. It's like throwing water in a small kid's pool and letting it sit there all year. It's just gonna evaporate
or get gross.
It's almost the same thing. But when you're invested in real estate, it's gonna grow with the market. It doesn't matter what the U.S. dollar is doing. People still need housing. Exactly. It's an asset that can bring in income. And when you're like a real estate agent or you have some other businesses, You can get fired by a client and be just fine because you have 400 others, or as many as you want to go after and get. As long as you're decent at a skill and you can just do it, and you don't have to worry about showing up. You don't have to show up on a Tuesday if you don't want to, and not have to worry about getting fired by somebody. Mm-hmm. So, for those out there that think not having a safe, secure job and not having your traditional savings is, not ideal or ideal, just think about it that way. I actually think it's way more risky to be an employee and to just have a savings account than anything I can imagine. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, I couldn't agree more. And that's why I basically take the money I make from my real estate job and invest in real estate, because now with the cash flow from that and a few other things, if I don't make one more commission this year, I'll probably be just fine, because I don't have any other debt. I don't have a truck payment anymore. I don't have any consumer debt. I have a low mortgage on my personal residence and my grocery bill. I'm very lucky with healthcare because I was in the military. That's not a big concern. So I don't know. I'm so grateful to be in the position I'm in now because I invested in real estate, and it makes me capable of, or allows me to be even, more of an entrepreneur and risky or whatever, because I have that safety net. Because I'm not as risky as you are with, I think you take bigger risks on flips that need to be gut jobs and all that kind of stuff. I'm more like the slow, steady, get rich slowly kind of person.
And it's worked just fine for you.
And I'm so grateful, because now I'm in a position where I'm literally, I'm not financial independence communities call it FAT-FI, when you're I could travel the world in first class. No, I'm not at that level. But I said, I'm at a level where now it's okay. I can be a little bit more risky or not have a steady paycheck like so many people think that they need. So.
Gotcha. So what's a day look like in Joe Turner land? Now, you don't have a safe, secure job. You can, you're an agent and an investor. So what's the average day look like for you? Do you wake up to an alarm clock? Your kids screaming in your face?
Yeah, they're screaming in my face. No, my kids are 13 and 15 now. So, when I have them, I have to get up and take them to school, and then I come into the office. A smart guy once told me a huge part of success in real estate is just showing up. Just show up. It's amazing how many opportunities that you weren't even thinking about kind of fall in your lap if you show up, if you surround yourself with the right people, and you do the 20% that really makes a huge difference, that with the 80-20 principle.
So what is that 20%?
For me?
Yeah.
It's right now it's more like coaching my team or the agents on our team, and still making phone calls and contacts with past clients. If I do that for an hour or two every day, it seems like the rest just kind of works itself out. And making sure our events, our monthly events are put on and successful. And if I just do those few things, it's amazing how successful we still continue to be, even though I feel like I'm working less than ever. Yeah. The first year I did work very hard. I worked every weekend. I did open houses. I put a lot of time and effort in. But using the power of leverage and, hooking up with the right people has allowed me now to maybe work 20, 30 hours a week and have a ton of fun doing it. So.
Yeah. This is your fourth year now in real estate?
Yeah, just started fourth year.
Nice. Yeah. So over time, your work weeks are getting less and less,
yeah.
As far as hourlies? Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, cool. You look like you wanted to say something.
No, I'm surprised you're not why don't you step it up there, business partner, put some more time.
Oh, I'm going to put you out here on the spot. I mean, I will if you want me to. Make more calls. Yeah, okay. So what's next for you? Do you have any other house opportunities that you're looking at?
I want to continue my investing. What's next? I'm a single lady, and so I'm going to continue.
You can send your inquiries to. What is it? JoeTurnerIdaho@gmail.com? Is
yeah,
that right?
that's my email. Mhm.
J-O Turner, just like it sounds. Idaho@gmail.com. Send in your dating resumes.
There you go. No, my plan is to just keep buying a house every year and keeping the last one as a rental, as long as that continues to make sense with the market. Our area is crazy. We're seeing 10% or, plus or minus appreciation every year. And as long as I keep buying at that average price point, around $300,000 is what Kootenai County is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with knowing the market will shift and go up and down, but I am putting 20% down now, and I just feel like in 30 years I'm going to be pretty happy that I'm doing this now. So
Great. Okay. Can you tell me, what's your favorite investment house that you have, and tell me all about it?
My favorite investment house is probably a house I have on Amanda Street. Well, I don't know, that one or the Bottle Bay one. I'll do what I like about the one on Amanda Street in Rathdrum, Idaho. I purchased it about a year and a half ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And part of this was timing and luck, but part of it was just, making a smart decision too. So I purchased it for about $245,000 a year and a half ago, and I put 15% down, and the interest rate was 5.125%. So my payment was about $1,400 a month. I rented it for $1,800 a month. So I was cash flowing right away, 15% down. In the last year, because that was an up-and-coming new construction development.
Pause. You also got a commission, too.
Yes. And I got a commission, which I used to do the landscaping and the fencing. So I kind of call that a wash of it.
Okay.
In a year, I went through divorce. I had to refinance to get my now ex-husband off the loan, but it appreciated it and appraised at $315,000. So I was able to do a cash out refinance, keeping 25% equity in the property, and because I did that, the interest rate went down to 4.25%. I pulled out $40,000, which was pretty much my 15% down. Tax-free, and my payment went down a little bit. So I basically did the Burr strategy on a new construction on accident, but I basically, it's it's an infinity investment property.
So you got all your initial
I got all my money back, and now it's just going to cash flow and make me $500 a month.
So you got a free house.
I got a free house.
New construction house.
So
4-car or 3-car garage, 4-bedroom, new construction. Got all your money back. It's cash flowing. Great interest rate. Not a bad move.
That one, and I know a lot of luck things happened with appreciation and whatnot, but at the same time, I would have been totally fine keeping it too as when I purchased it. So,
Nice.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
Okay. How's this? So you were going to mention the vacation rental?
Yes. So that's a little different beast. That one also turned out great, and I have other ones that are not going so great. So I don't want to make it sound like everything I touch turns to gold. We can get into my problem house too if you want. But that one had an amazing view of City Beach in Sandpoint. It also, I don't know how much detail you want me to get into here, but I found the property and I looked at its history and noticed it also had been listed with the waterfront lot in front of it. And so I essentially worked out a deal with the seller that I would rent that waterfront lot with an option to purchase for 3 years, and I bought the house for $365,000. We've rented it through the summers on Airbnb. Also, when I was purchasing it during the inspection period, the roof was really close to needing replaced, and the heat pump had some issues. We had already worked in a credit, so they couldn't really credit us anymore. So the creative thing we did there was they actually upped my commission because I'm an agent. So that was I got $5,000 more just being an agent and working that deal out. So that was pretty neat. And then so it sleeps 10 people. There's a crazy good view. And I made over $30,000 last summer with it, so I made my investment back on that.
Can we talk about the numbers a little bit more in detail about the purchasing end of it?
Yeah.
So this was a secondary waterfront house, and you're leasing the waterfront across the street that had a dock on it.
Yes.
And the purchase price was $365.
65.
And if I remember right, you got a second home loan, which required 10% down.
Yes.
And how much was that 10%? I guess 36,000.
Yep.
But and what was your total commission?
The total commission was, it was going to be like around $9,000. I think was 3% or so.
Yeah, plus an additional 5. So you got 14,000 something.
Yeah, almost $15,000. I was able to get as a commission.
Okay, so you had to put about of your own cash, 19,000 or so,
right,
to buy basically a vacation property with an awesome view of the water, and then the lease on that land was like $200 a month. Didn't even cover the taxes for the owners.
Right, just the nicest Canadian couple you can imagine. They're like, "Oh, sure, yeah, just take it, yeah."
Yeah. So you got this investment property that you also get to use.
Yes.
For about 19,000 down if you count your commission, and then after the first full year, it actually made you money on top of that, right?
Yes,
like
absolutely. So I put a long-term tenant in there that doesn't quite pay the mortgage. So the mortgage is about $2,100, and I rent it out for $1,950 from like October through to May, and then it rents for close to $400 a night for the peak summer nights of July.
$400 a night. That's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we only had maybe 2 vacant days in July and August. Those are the keys. In June and September, kind of the little off months, I rent it for $250 a night. Okay. So I'm still playing around with it, and that's my best advice for people in this area anyway. I think Airbnb and VRBO have some pricing tools. They don't seem super accurate in our area, but I just compared to what other people were doing, and then the fact that I have 8-9 weeks booked by January of the summer says that I'm probably priced a little low still, but I like the peace of mind to know that it's booked as well. So it worked out.
So after that, I remember you did the math for a presentation, but I can't remember exactly. About how long did it take until you got all your money back?
The first year, yeah.
Okay, so after the first year, you got all your initial investment back.
Yeah.
On top of your payments.
Right. And then if you factored in the appreciation we saw, and some other things.
But even if you don't factor any appreciation, it only took about 1 year before you got all your money back. So you got this vacation house with a water view and leasing the waterfront lot at no cost to you after the first year.
Yep.
Pretty incredible.
Thanks.
And there's equity, like a lot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a. But it still needs a new roof, which has been leaking on my tenants right now. And
oh, geez.
The power went out and fried the oven, so I just had to get a new oven. I mean, there's all these things.
Slumlord. Slumlord alert.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky with these tenants, though. My water heater exploded on New Year's Eve. Lovely phone call for that. Luckily, the tenant is like, I'll just run to Home Depot and get one and install it and do everything if you want to pay me a couple $100. So the whole thing cost like $800, which I'm sure a plumber would have charged me like $2,000 on New Year's Eve at least to do it. So I got I cannot emphasize tenant selection enough. And we can go into my current horror story.
Sure.
If you want.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so that Wisconsin house.
Yes.
How long have you owned that thing?
Since 2013, so 7 years now.
About 7 years. And then this year, some not so good things happened to it.
Right. So I've had good tenants. I think the first tenant was in there. I actually think I've only had two families in there. The first family stayed for almost 3 years and didn't take care of it great, but took care of it well and always paid on time. So they were moving out. They decided to buy a house, and not being there, I live in Idaho, and this house is in Wisconsin. My mom helps me show the house, the property, and screen the tenants a bit.
Because you self-manage all your own properties, right?
I do self-manage them currently, yeah. Anyway, I was anxious to get a tenant lined up, and I didn't do my due diligence like I should have. This family I selected, they could not have been nicer and sweeter on the phone. And, I just couldn't get a hold of their references, but they just seemed like such a sweet family. They had a sweet 10-year-old little girl. My mom just said they just seemed so nice. And so I was like, I'm sure they're fine. And so I did not follow up and really research. And also I did get talk to the wife's boss, and he raved about her too. So I did have a couple good references, but, in my gut, even if looking back, I remember thinking like, I hope this is fine, but they're not as like, sometimes you just know immediately that these tenants are solid, right? And I didn't get that feeling with them. Anyway, long story short, they paid on time for the first year, and then they started missing payments. They did always eventually pay until November. You can't control this. You can't predict this, but the father actually committed suicide in the house, right? There's no way you can screen for that and know that that's going to happen. And so I've been struggling with, of course, I want to be compassionate and help these people, and I've given them and the wife so many, chances to pay and I'll work with you. I'll even pay for moving.
Just communicate with you.
Communicate. They they had been horribly communicating the last 4 or 5 months, and being super late with paying. And I started the eviction process actually a couple times in August and September, and then they'd finally pay. And then, like I said, the husband tragically killed himself in the garage of the house. So actually tomorrow they're finally having the court date for the eviction. I had no choice. I've now lost $8,000 because the mortgage is almost $2,000 a month. They haven't paid December, January, or February, so I have to evict them. So that's the unfortunate rental situation that I'm going through right now.
So when you have a few rentals, it's a good idea to have a little savings, just in case stuff goes wrong.
And
you should never be cutting it too thin.
Exactly. And I recently refinanced that property as part of the divorce and pulled out $120,000 of equity. So even though I'm losing $8,000, I try to look at it like, it's like I only pulled out $110,000, and like just trying to
make yourself feel better.
Yeah,
it's okay. You are losing like crazy. It's okay.
Yeah, but I'm very thankful that this isn't gonna break me. I'll just have to get through it, and it'll just be another story. And you have to have resilience if you're going to be a landlord, even with quality properties. But like I said, I think the biggest lesson there is to really feel confident about your tenants, because I knew that something seemed a little off. Not that you can predict how tragic it got, but I don't know. I just could do better next time.
What would you do differently next time, assuming that happens and then communication starts becoming really foggy and you're not getting any payments?
Well, I don't know, a part of me, I definitely had people say I should start the eviction process immediately, but I also wanted to be really compassionate and try to do, it's just a hard balance. I don't know if I could have evicted them any faster when they were missing payments back in August, or worked with them back then. I think at the end of the day, you just can't control for everything, and you just have to mitigate your risk with having savings to make sure, like they say, that's why lenders make you have 6 months in reserves for every property, right? Because stuff like this can happen, and I'm lucky that I'm cash flowing very nicely on all my other properties, so that really helps offset this loss too. So that reserve requirement is there for a reason. The lenders have done this before. They're not always stupid. Weird. Weird. All right. So what's next for you? Investment wise, like I said, I kind of want to stabilize because of that Wisconsin property hit me hard, and the divorce and everything, and just stabilize. But I bet by the fall I'll definitely be under contract in another single family home, whether I'm going to move into that one or just keep it as a rental. Still want to get about 2 a year. So in about 3 years, I should be at my goal of 10, and then see where I'm at in my life then, and see if I want to keep going and growing, or if I'm good and I want to pay some of them off. I just want to be open to what the best path is.
Okay.
Meantime,
Gotcha. So
with our
flexible.
team, I want to keep growing it and supporting our team to kick butt. And I love that all the agents on our team are also investors. So whatever I can do to help them reach their goals is kind of my goal too.
We have a pretty awesome team.
We have an amazing team.
Yeah, we're very
Super grateful. And we're going to Mexico next week to celebrate.
We are. This weekend.
This
You'll
weekend.
see the North Idaho REI Team in Cancun, Mexico.
Yep.
Poor Sabra has to stay back.
Oh, well, somebody's got to work.
Next year, Sabra. Sorry. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now get back upstairs and get to work.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in to the Investor Shed podcast. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for instant access to all future episodes. If you or someone you know has investing experience or stories to share, reach out to us in the comments or via email.